Sorry, I'm like really nervous. I'm calling because I've seen like a lot of really crazy mudslinging towards one of my favorite content creators, whom I know you have a good relationship as well with, Hassan Piker. And I'm not sure.
Damn, he's going straight to Unk, dude. He's going straight to Unk. That's Unk. That's my uncle. Everybody calm down.
And keeping up with it, because it's sort of like this intersectionality between like political commentators and like random crappy YouTube drama. But and I know that you also have a relationship or have been on the HD podcast. So anyway, just to give like the spiel really quickly, if you haven't heard of it, Ethan Klein sort of has had this like crazy campaign against Hassan lately, insinuating that his fan base is anti-Semitic and that he's allowing this sort of area of his community to exist, and just going above and beyond to make the most bad faith arguments in order to like perpetuate this narrative. And it's really like been personally upsetting to me, specifically because here's this guy who, I'm sorry, I'm like really fucking really nervous. Here's this guy who's like defended the Palestinian people for so long, way before like this year, like for years and years and years. I myself, I'm a Jewish person. I went on Birthright when I was 19, and I was radicalized by Birthright Unplugged. So I was able to see what was going on in the occupied West Bank at the time, and it was particularly upsetting to me. So, yeah, no, I guess the reason I'm calling is because I'm just curious if you are aware of what's going on. Because for me, it's just so personally upsetting to see this happen to someone that I feel like has been so staunchly in the right place with this issue, being brutally attacked by people whom I viewed as being like figureheads of like a progressive movement, people like Ethan Klein, other YouTubers as well.
Yeah, I mean, I have not followed this closely. I've seen like, you know, and I'm on Twitter less and less these days, but I've definitely seen touches of it on Twitter. And I don't know if it was like last week or when Hassan, you know, had texted me that he found this whole thing upsetting. You know, all I can tell you is right now, it seems like we have entered a stage where strong supporters of Israel, ones who I would say have been, you know, really intensely in denial as to what Israel is doing and what it's become. And put aside, you know, the question of like, for the moment, for the sake of this argument or this situation, the founding of Israel as being highly problematic. Just take this past year in isolation. If nothing, if there had been no history whatsoever, if this was completely outside of a context, there's just simply no way. And I think the context actually does not make it any more favorable for Israel. I think quite the opposite. But let's just assume for a moment that this only happened on October 7th. That Hamas came over, they broke through, they killed somewhere between 600 and 800 civilians, and then anywhere between 300 or 400 military personnel, which is the case. The idea that this is a proportionate response, the killing of, at a minimum, I mean, I don't think there's...
Hassan has become an L. The thing I don't understand about that kind of sentiment is that, like, if you consider me to be an L now, then I didn't become that. Like, I've always been this L, because The one thing is, it's me. I'm the one who called. Yes, I'm the chatter. Yeah. The thing is, like, I'm pretty consistent, especially on stuff like this, right? So I think that it's not necessarily that I have become an L. I think maybe your opinion changed on the matter. And that deserves some, I think, self-reflection. And I'm always going to be open-minded. I'm always going to be open-minded to people who change their minds. Maybe you changed your mind in the opposite direction, but I will still hold out hope that you will one day be charitable again to the things that I'm saying. You know? But I haven't really changed my framework, my perception, my attitude on the way that Israel operates. The only thing that I've turned into an L on is the size of the t-shirts that I wear. I used to wear XXL and now I wear larges. So I guess on that front, you are right.
There's any sort of reasonable individual that thinks it's less than, 40,000 plus people. And that, we know that almost 2/3 of this is women and children. We know that there have been thousands of kids underneath the age of like 2 who have been killed. I don't think there's anybody. Even without the context, this just looks like war crime after war crime.
May I ask a question, Sam?
Yeah.
So getting to that point, like, I think what's particularly upsetting about this, like, obviously the entire situation.
I am a bullprog called in to talk about their criticisms of you. Okay.
Is incredibly upsetting, and it's seeing people whom I previously thought were fairly progressive become like radicalized against this issue, and
listen,
up
you
people
were
that are so much worse with their bad faith arguments, and I wonder if you think it's more about that, just hits home for them in a weird way where they're able to suspend their disbelief.
That was the point that I was trying to make. It's like, I feel like we have hit a stage of this now where it is so horrific. It is so obvious that even without
you can't even acknowledge it.
Even without context, that to remain in denial, you need to go further, right? Like, you can't hunker down. You need to go on the offense. I will tell you this. I had a guy, family friend of my father's age, who called him this week and asked if I was an anti-Semite.
Yeah. So this is ironically enough, the reason why I wanted Sam to talk to Ethan as well, because this is like getting too into, in a very public fashion, but getting too into like inter-community conversations. Okay. Like, you know how sometimes we open the door? You know how sometimes we open a door and peek into black people's business? This is Jewish people's business to a certain degree. Like, the way that American Jews analyze Israel and the opinions that they have, like, this is a inside baseball conversation almost. Like, I understand why that chatter is frustrated, because he's like recognizing the cognitive dissonance demonstrated by people who he recognizes were progressive, who have gone through a genuine attitude change, right? And yet that attitude change has like limits in terms of the analysis. I think that it's just slightly parasocial. I don't think so. Because like, I have 2 different camps here, right? I have like hardline anti-Zionist Jewish friends who are very close friends of mine, as you guys know, who I love and have so much respect for, who have already had these opinions very publicly for a very long time. And then there are a lot of young Jewish Hasanabi heads that I talk to who have basically gone through this journey into anti-Zionism, and that and the communal attitudes that are reflected back at them, like the push and pull, basically, of your own personal convictions on this matter versus the way that your immediate family members treat you, and your sense of community basically being robbed from you because of your difference in opinion on this matter, because of how many of these communities are built around the concept of like defending Israel. I think that's a real issue. Sense of community, Lamau? No, I mean, it's true. What do you mean? You can't say that, like, sense of community, Lamau. There are plenty of anti-Zionist Jews who literally are just like, dude, I don't know what the fuck to do. Like, you know, you have Hillel on campus, you have all these like Jewish groups on campus, and they straight up are like, oh, are you fucking anti-Israel? Fuck you. You're a token. Get out of here. Like, you get excommunicated like a fucking Mormon. To be clear, I've been pro-Palestinian since I did Birthright Unplugged at 19. I'm 33 now, but it's upsetting because I saw firsthand the propaganda. Yeah. No, I'm talking specifically about like when I go to the encampments and stuff and I talk to the students there. One of the most common things I heard from Jewish students at the encampment was like, you know, you have no, like, you basically don't have the same like community resources all of a sudden, because like it's just, they take that shit away from you. You're like not a part of it. You know, you have to be pro-Israel. And I feel like that's a frustrating situation, and I haven't been able to find it like a good solution to that at all when people ask me that question. You know? Like, I do understand how that would be. I can understand how that would feel. That sense of isolation is going to be something that is damaging to your psyche for sure. Like, I get that. I don't know. This is 100% going to be clip chimped. Wait, what? Well, I didn't say anything. I did not say anything even remotely inappropriate here. I'm talking about my own personal experiences talking to anti-Zionist Jews that are Hasanabi heads at college encampments. Like, if they fucking, you know, if people clip this out of context to say that this is anti-Semitic, then so be it. Like, I've been getting called a fucking terrorist every goddamn day. I've been getting called an Islamist fundamentalist terrorist every fucking day. I think the best phrase to describe the thing that myself and a lot of other fellow Jewish Hasanabi heads is internalized shame. And it's something that I struggle with every day. I literally feel ostracized from my Jewish friends every day because of my beliefs. I think the best phrase to describe it is internalized shame. Like, I don't think you should feel shame. I think that is the social conditioning, right? I think that as a Jewish person, you should never feel shame about the actions of Israel. You should never, ever feel shame about the actions of Israel, because it has nothing to do with you. You know, it has nothing to do with you whatsoever. I understand where it comes from. I think it literally comes from like all of the social conditioning from you know, early adolescent stages in your life, and how like that sense of community and almost like a higher national religious understanding in the form of like Zionist ideology has substituted maybe some of the practices that you could normally feel that you normally would feel is a part of your culture. But I don't feel shame. I just feel dismayed that people who raised me aren't living by their own teachings. Is very upsetting. Yeah, you should never ever in a million years feel shame. If you're an American Jew, you should never ever feel shame towards the actions of Israel. I will never allow it. Zionism is woven into Jewish communities from a very young age. It was taught to me at Hebrew school and amongst the word of the mouth. Yeah, exactly. But once again, this is why I always talk about this issue. Like, I don't think a lot of people understand. When I separate Zionism in Israel from Judaism across the board, I'm doing this because I see what the fuck is going on. Okay? I'm doing this one because it's the truth. Zionism is totally separate from Judaism. It does not matter if your local rabbi says that it isn't. Okay? It doesn't matter. You can voluntarily adopt this ideology because you think that this will, time will pass, and you can use this as a deflection to be like, oh, well, every Jewish person is ideologically and religiously tied to Israel. It doesn't matter. This is what's taught in Hebrew school or whatever. But like, and it's a part of my Jewish identity. It still doesn't matter because you are not recognizing that you are teaching people something that is wrong. And not only is it wrong, but it's also causing people to associate Israel's actions with Judaism when it is so far removed from Judaism, almost antithetical to the values that at least I have learned about Judaism and Jewish culture and Jewish history. That may be a point of contention, though. Do you have the right to make that distinction as a non-Jewish person? Yeah, I understand that. I understand when people go, people try to do like, well, it's, my own ideology, my own choice, that type of thing. It's not because of Israel. It's because I'm shamed by my community for not being pro-Israel. I know this is a long shot, but I would also be more than welcome to guest star one day to talk about my upbringing and the constant struggle of being someone who is Jewish and anti-Israel. I know you've talked about this a billion times, but I'd still be open sometime if you want. I'm pretty sure Megaphonics will also be more than glad to do so as well. Yeah. I hate how insane everyone has become, and it's impossible to talk to family I used to be friends with on holidays. I've seen too many dead babies. I literally burst out at any of my family when they bring up Israel. Like, I want my grandparents on Haifa dead. It's my fault for seeing Palestinians as humans. Yeah. But like, Sam himself has is personally talking about his own experiences. Like, people think people in his own community, in his own immediate circle of friends, is like looking at him and assuming that he is like anti-Semitic for his opinion on Israel. And it's a very weird situation because, like, when people say white people are under attack in America or Christianity is under attack in America, we all understand that that's fucking bullshit, right? That is the oppressive group trying to do a reverse racism narrative. But with anti-Semitism, there is real anti-Semitism. There is actually a sense of marginalization that is valid. There is actually a genuine impact of anti-Semitism that is a canary for fascist ideology. So when that gets diluted with anti-Zionism in a very nefarious cycle that tries to associate all of the actions of Israel with Judaism, you are literally, without recognizing, telling people something that is objectively false, okay? Just like Saudi Arabia and its actions have nothing to do with Islam, okay? Or the rest of the Muslim world, Israel's actions have nothing to do with Judaism or, how American Jews or Jews wherever they live in the world and their day-to-day experiences. It has nothing to do with that. It is a state, right? It is a state built around an ethno and religious supremacist ideology that is built on top of an area where there are millions of indigenous people and tens of millions that have been displaced already. Like, it has nothing. It has nothing to do with Judaism across the board, no matter how hard people have packaged it as such. And it always feels like I'm going crazy when people associate it when they are either Jewish themselves or pro-Jewish, right? It's like hearing straight up a Muslim guy in the Western world be like, claiming that like ISIS is actually good for Islam and that ISIS actually is the true idea of Islam. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you saying? That's what it feels like. And I can't. You've made a turn, man. Not a good path. Once again, I have not. Especially on this issue, I have not. You either weren't paying attention in the past or your opinion most likely changed. Unless you can identify what the turn is, unless you can identify in your mind what the turn is, we can't have this. We can't have like a normal conversation. It's just your vibes. In a Twitch chat, it's more nuanced than that. What? It just, you can give some talking points, I assume, I suspect, right? Here's another story from Nandre. A little anecdotal though. When I lived in Israel, many of the younger Israelis despise Zionism because they live inside it and saw the garbage effects it has on life. It's why it's such a frustrating dialogue over there. The West is so far removed from it and pushes it so hard. Yeah, that definitely is the other aspect of it too. I'm giving you the opportunity to speak up. So what Nandre said, it makes all the worse that Hebrew school teaches us about such a politically fraught and deep topic like Zionism at such a young age, and now tell us it's the Palestinians who indoctrinate their children who hate us, as though hating Palestinians isn't the obvious lesson of Zionist youth lessons. I cannot even reconcile that obvious cognitive dissonance with people who still believe that, even in old age. Yeah. It's just, you can point to videos that I have on this topic, ironically enough, with the same exact people that I'm still talking to on the same exact subject matter from like 8 years ago. You know what I mean? That's what's so funny about people being like, wow, you've changed. I have not. You either weren't paying attention to what I was saying for the past almost decade, or your perspective on the matter changed, and now you analyze what I'm saying with a very different lens. Again, it's more complex than can be said in a chat. You were literally asking me for talking points and I refuse. What? Okay, so what do you want? You just wanted to chirp? That's what it was? You just wanted the wine? Is that what it was? I would hope anyone would change in 10 years. I mean, if society is unchanging, on a lot of these issues, like, why would you expect me to change, my mindset to change? You know? That doesn't make any point. That doesn't make any sense. Yes, I've been consistently now for more than a decade been, and even beyond that, but very publicly, more than a decade, been pro immigration, right? Pro reform, rehabilitation over incarceration when it comes to the criminal justice system. I have, and none of those structural problems have gone away. I have been very critical of policing as an institution in this country. That has not changed, if not only gotten worse. So, like, and with respect to Israel, it's not like Israel 10 years ago was different. It was still an apartheid, and it still is. Like, my core values and the way that I understand the world have not shifted dramatically. For most people, not just you. These people just started paying attention, not you. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And it's like, wait a second. First off, I'm not saying anything now that I haven't been saying for a year. And I've been critical increasingly over the years, to be fair. But starting in 2004, when we did this show on AM Talk Radio, we had the Israeli embassy contact our show, after our first segment about Israel, which was in, I don't know, second month of doing the show, because they wanted to refute our points. I mean, we were critical of Israel. I think I
just denounced terrorists. I do. Your voice speaks loud. Do with that what you will. I denounce terrorists every day. I denounce the terror state of Israel every day. I denounce America's actions that are state-sponsored terror every day. Every day. Yeah, I do.
I've become more critical as I've learned more about,
People are still people, right? Like they're still human beings. Whatever kind of fucking sticker you associate with them does not change that dynamic. People understandably have a desire to live free. Okay? That is a normal human desire to have. Okay? If you understand that the standard of violence is set by the larger, more powerful party, which in this case would be the settler colonial country with nuclear arms that are getting endless amounts of funds and weapons from the largest superpower on the planet historically, then you have to recognize that the overarching harm, the larger harm, is always still coming from Israel. Israel is setting the standard of violence. The Nat Turner rebellion, albeit incredibly violent, which included white people being slaughtered in their bedrooms, you know what I mean, did not change the morality of chattel slavery. It didn't. Just like the ANC's actions did not change the morality of the South African apartheid. When the dust settles, you will not look back at these situations, at these acts of violence, resisting against, no matter how abhorrent they may be. Okay? And October 7 had a tremendous amount of abhorrent acts of violence. Okay? Specifically against civilians. When the dust is settled, if there is truly a progressive slant to history, you will look back at that as a dark moment in history. But ultimately, the much larger harm will be accurately pointed to and the much larger issue will be in the hands, the larger responsibility will be in the hands of the settler colonial entity. Okay? The dust will never settle in this conflict? You're wrong. You're wrong on that too. No, the dust will settle on this for sure. Because I don't believe that history magically has a slant towards progress. But I do look at history and recognize that the normal condition for humans is to collaborate with one another rather than being in a constant state of war, as evidenced by the European collaboration that we now take for granted, despite the fact that not that long ago, they were warring with one another, right? It's not optimism. I'm just simply looking at the way history has worked, okay? People who have killed one another for centuries now collaborate with one another, and it's not even a question. And we take that collaboration for granted. We assume that that is the normal condition. The other thing that I also know is that this level of violence is inherently unsustainable. Okay? This level of violence that Israel is dishing out to every single one of its neighbors and to territories that it currently illegally occupies is completely and utterly unsustainable. Okay? That's it. Fascism is inherently a suicidal ideology. It is constantly seeking out an out-group at the behest of protecting an in-group. history is riddled with examples of ultranationalist ideologies self-destructing, including, but not limited to, Nazi Germany, its rise and its fall. Okay? Israel is now, due to these last 12 months of endless, unlimited genocide, a complete pariah state, not only by the third world, the global south, the developing nations, which always saw it as a colonial apparatus, but also now the first world, Western nations and their populations, especially younger populations in the West, recognize the reality. They can see right from wrong. This creates a shit ton of pressure. Israel cannot maintain itself as a Western adjacent nation, as a tourism destination, as a destination for academics to go and visit, as long as it keeps up this level of unlimited violence. There is a material harm, that a cost that Israel is incurring right now. Okay, a debt to all the bloodshed, both on the social front, the social capital that it's expending, but also on the economic front. Think about your own personal attitude. Think about your own personal journey since October 7, 2023, and how much your opinion has shifted on this matter. Okay? Maybe not every single person is going to be as clear-eyed on this issue and recognize, Israel as an apartheid state, but many people have the capacity to still see right from wrong. There's only so much Islamophobic sentiment that can justify the burned, charred bodies of children that you see on a daily fucking basis. Anyway, let's continue.
Over the years, more critical of just sort of like of Zionism per se. But
Yeah.
the point is, I think we're at a point where it is so horrific that to maintain the denial, one needs to sort of like shift the entire conversation. I do not believe that Hassan is anti-Semitic. That has never
that's the
come
weird
up.
thing too. Like
Where does this?
I watch a lot of his streams, and if you're making those types of arguments, it has to be in bad faith, because, or you're at least like clip chimping, as he would say.
I don't know
because
if
I just never have witnessed
mean,
anything
look,
even remotely like that.
I haven't followed this close enough, but I don't know if it's in bad faith as much as it is, at least in the instance of Ethan, that it is very, very difficult for some people who are attached to an idea or certain realities, or have family there or whatnot, to reconcile what they're seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people who literally don't believe that anybody has died in Gaza. They think it's all fake. I mean,
It's infuriating because I've experienced way more hostility and anti-Semitism from fellow Jews than Hassan Morgan or anyone who's been attacked this week. Yeah, I mean, because we're not anti-Semitic. Like, humans are intrinsically social beings. Civilization begins when we take care of the vulnerable, and it crumbles when we are violent. Fascism is anti-evolutionary, and progress and freedom is in our human spirit. I agree with that for sure.
The amount of denial, like we're in that that era, that phase of the epoch where like it is so hard to deny, even if you can justify.
I've said it a billion times, Hasanabi. If at any point I felt that this chat's room status as one of the safest and best regulated places against anti-Semitism on the internet was in question, I would make it known or leave. I'm still fucking here. I see it. I view the anti-Semitism allegations, smears, not even allegations, the smears in the same vein as I view people saying that I'm transphobic. And sure, there are plenty of people who still maintain this belief that I am transphobic, right? Some trans people online probably think that I am transphobic, right? This is one of the largest trans communities online. You know, it does not matter. It does not matter what people say. This does not change my analysis. This does not change my advocacy. I can't counter a false framing that you have hallucinated. That's it. It's a coordinated and targeted smear campaign that is being laundered via this drama. It's completely fucking selfish and bigoted. All of it is in bad faith and it's coming from a very specific corner of the internet. Yeah. I think the dominant American version of Jewish authenticity is deeply cornered into the Zionist paradigm, one where you have to hold your tie to exist in exile, but now in relation to an actually existing Israel. I don't know how to resolve the contradictions between this national existence and humanist Jewish values or what new Jewish authenticity would look like. I don't know if you can do that while retaining any national framework and what that means for Israeli Jews. I don't. What's the second part of that? Time without an OWO? I know you're not anti-Semitic, but with the right clips, I can understand why some things make some people uncomfortable. I think that's the problem with streaming 8 hours a day for 50 years. Not everyone will understand you to the same degree. Yeah, but the benefit of that, of my streaming 8 hours a day for fucking 10 years, not 50, is that you can also find the actual context in which I'm saying certain things. No second part, I just don't know, is for American Jews to hold those discussions. Like, you will never be able to convince me that American Jews cannot arrive at this point if there are Jews in Israel who recognize it and are anti-Zionist, like Time Without an OO. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. I know what it's like to grow up in a fucking ultra-nationalist culture, an ultra-nationalist country. You know what I mean? I know what it's like. It takes a lot of fucking... It takes a lot of resistance, resilience, intellectual curiosity to overcome things that people take for fucking granted. One of the best things about America, I guess, one of the kind of weaknesses about American nationalism is that they're so hyper-focused on their treats that it's like much easier to fucking examine this kind of thing, especially when paired up with the lack of interest in creating or cultivating this like national mythos in the United States of America, because like we care more about capitalism and upholding that than we do about like having some ultra nationalist movement. Anyway. Israelism is like out to watch. Oh, this is the yeah, I kind of want to just like buy it and watch it on stream. Just say fuck it, YOLO. If you're not willing to look up the context of the criticism about you, do you realistically expect your detractors to do that for you? Yeah, no, I know the context of the criticism because I know where it's coming from. I've heard it a million times over and I've addressed it a million times over. And I think it's bad faith in general. So it's kind of silly to hyper focus on it. What I also find really funny is that like it's literally packaged clip chimps, and then people turn around and go, why won't Hassan address these bad faith smears that are directly antithetical to his values and his track record on this issue, right? Why won't they address that? And then when I even remotely address it, people turn around and clip something else out of context to only extend the conversation. It doesn't feel like a productive thing to do. There are videos out there with millions of fucking views.
Say for the sake of argument.
There are, yeah, Chatter put some effort and corrected this. Just a quick reference point to what Hassan actually believes versus the lies. 1, Hassan enables anti-Semitism to be commonplace on Twitch. No, anti-Semitism has no place in the leftist movement and has never had space in the leftist movement. Oh, wow. This is like a fucking massive effort post. Holy shit. Respect. Yeah, it's the... Why don't you respond to the criticism Innuendo Studios video
As
that...
a reasonable moderate, ask, why don't you respond to criticism? There's a lot going on in that question, more than is immediately obvious, and it's worth understanding.
Anyway. Like, there are smear videos of me on every single issue that I have extensively logged countless hours on. Transphobia, white supremacy. Though I guess the one thing that they haven't smeared me on is like that I am not sufficiently like pro Middle Eastern population. That's the one thing. But we'll get there was that too. People were saying that I was not sufficiently pro Palestine because I drink Coke on stream. You know? So I guess even that exists out there in the ether. Every single thing that is readily available for all to consume on my YouTube page, on the many VODs, thousands and thousands of hours logged on every single issue. It is out there for you to see. You can find it on your own. If you have any real questions or concerns, you can figure it out. If you're like, is Hassan personally deeply invested in the success of a Shia militia group? Like, does he really like Hezbollah? Or am I getting manipulated into a false framing on the matter because he dares to explain the context in which Hezbollah exists or is seen by the broader population? That's it. A question you must ask yourself. Okay? At the end of the day, the existence precedes essence. I think we can have those unresolved conversations about identity and admit we don't have the full answers, also while maintaining full determination in our pursuit for human justice. I struggle with my Jewish identity all the time, and at the same time, it's true for every one of my Israeli and Jewish anti-Zionist friends, but that's never stopped us from believing in a free Palestine. Yeah. I think it's very different, though, as an American Jew to recognize Israel being bad, even though Israeli anti-Zionists are literally on the ground. We are being pounded with propaganda about Israel, but we can't actually see it. Just like how you wouldn't see the ads if you're subscribed. I have to rely on you and other on-the-ground journalists to see what's actually going on while Israelis can just look at it right in front of them. Fucking goddamn it. Well, this is something I'll be looking forward to when I'm not running ads any longer, okay? Son of a bitch. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. Opponent on the Majority Report made a great point that when these people analyze the terrorist groups are fighting, it's viewed as apologia, but when Western violence is put into the context and justified, it's normal. Yeah. Like, this is what I mean. The Ordinary Gamer made a video about you today. Like, dude, come on. Dog. Come on. Like, I love how people that want to defend Israel will always be like, it's complicated. Let's not talk about it. Let's not say anything. And then, like, guys who invest all of their time and effort into fucking DEI initiatives in video games or whatever are now making fucking hit pieces. And now I have to take that shit seriously. Like, get the fuck out of here. Why am I supposed to talk to someone who doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about? How am I going to fucking sit here? Like, oh, I'm just going to sit here and listen to every fucking drama farming centrist YouTuber with a fucking alt-right adjacent crowd that they are desperately trying to fucking capture the attention of every single time someone makes a YouTube video. Like, it's fucking stupid. Like, let's be serious, man. Come on. Just a quick reference point to what Hassan actually believes versus the lies. 1, Hassan enables anti-Semitism to be commonplace on Twitch. No.
Come on. Anti-Semitism has no place in the leftist movement.
It has never had a space in the leftist movement. The leftist movement is first and foremost comprised of revolutionary Jews to begin with, okay? It was literally attacked as a Jewish plot, as a Jewish conspiracy. That's what the Nazis